Welcome to self-discoverymedia.com, where the orchard of wisdom shows are at your fingertips. It ignites your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your body with illumination from people who have made the journey before you. They're here now to help you on your journey, on your path of self-discovery. We are funded by you, the audience, and the people we interview. If you wish to support us, please go to self-discoverymedia.com and press on our Fund Action button. Anything is appreciated. We'd like you to sit back and enjoy the shows. Here we go. We think we own everything because we're human. We think we have a right to everything because we're human. We think we are superior because we're human. But we are lacking with so much to learn. We are lacking in so much compassion. We are lacking in so much misunderstanding. And we are lacking in love. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sarah's View of Life, right here on self-discoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Try. We don't own anything. Absolutely everything we have is pretty well on loan. We are borrowing. Everything on this planet is given to us to sustain us, but we don't own the planet. We don't own the houses that are on the planet. We may be leasing, kind of bought the house that is sitting on top of the property, but it's Earth's land. So wherever our building is, it still belongs to Earth, and Earth lets us know that. She's been very angry with us for quite some time because we have been abusing her. Not only bombs being set off and nuclear testing, never mind all the cars out there, the methane gas from meat manufacturing, just the general abuse that we've been giving Earth now for so long. We've raped and pillaged her resources, and we don't allow her to regroup and to regrow. All we want is more, more, more. And she can't keep up with our demands, our selfish demands. So no, folks, we don't own this planet. We own a few things that are on top of it, but not this planet. And we've got to remember, it belongs to her. It's the same with ourselves. The souls that we have within us are souls that have been here before. They're here to have a divine experience, a human experience, to learn, to teach us, to expand that universal wisdom. And we own our actions, yes. We own our reactions, yes. We own what we do in this world. But do we own everything else? Not really. Everything is temporary. Every moment is a gift of the moment. We're not promised tomorrow. So what do we do today? Well, we seed what we would like to see grow tomorrow. We water and we nurture it, and we hope that it's going to come into beautiful bloom or beautiful fruit that will sustain us. But we're not promised of it. We don't know if Mama Earth is going to kick up and make sure that we hear her, or whatever happens. Human greed is the problem on this planet. It's got nothing to do with any of the other ecology or animals, because they're not out there for power. Yeah, they might be territorial, but that is not power. You look at what Putin is doing right now, it's all ego, narcissistic, psychopathic driven. He has this desperate need to own everything, to be powerful over everything. And all dictators are like that, that nothing is ever enough. And it's because the shortcomings are within them. They're very poor within themselves. They feel they need to own everything, control everything, have power over everything, and then they will be happy. But you notice they're never satisfied. They keep going after more and more and more because their dissatisfaction lies deep, deep within them. And it doesn't matter how much they think they own on the outside, they don't, because they don't own anything on the inside. They're not connected to their spirit, their heart, or their soul. It's all about the outside perception rather than the inside connection. They may own the people in the way that they control them, but they can't own their spirit. They can't own their thoughts. We can still think for ourselves. We can still ignite our own spirit, our hearts, our souls, and live within that. And nobody can control that. Not even us. We can control what we feed it. We can control how we use it. But what comes to us and why it comes to us, we don't always have control even of that. So quintessentially is kind of giving up control to have control. I can control my reactions. Sometimes I can't. It depends. You get hit with something and you're going to have a reaction. But what you do with that after that is in my control. Am I going to retaliate? Am I going to go down the rabbit hole? Am I going to respond? The thing is, we can take a breath and we can go, okay, why? Is this really a personal attack on me? Is this something that really affects me? Is it something I can do something about? And I mean positively, not negatively. We have had numerous floods here, fires here. I mean, we've had a lot of ups and downs here in British Columbia in this last year. Whole towns been burnt, not even attempt to rebuild yet because politics has got in the way. Flooding like crazy. And these people are still out of their homes. The water is beginning to recede. They've lost their livelihoods. It's going to take years to rebuild. And where's the support? Because, of course, red tape comes and steps in. But who else has stepped in? The community, the people who've got government is lacking. There is no support. We need to step up and support the people. And sometimes don't wait for the higher powers, and I mean government powers, to step in and do what's right. There's so much bureaucratic tape that they have to go through. Doomsday has come and gone before they respond. We have to come and step up together as a community and realize that the only way we're going to make change is if we do it together and we stand tall together without blame, without shame, without anger. Yeah, you can't blame people for being angry if they've lost everything. It takes 8 years for a blueberry farm to get up to fruition where they can really start selling their blueberries because it takes that time for it to really grow. And now they've lost everything. All of the plants are gone. They're still underwater. The land is saturated and contaminated. And who's going to do all the cleanup? And it's devastating and it affects all of us. So therefore, all of us need to in some way pitch in. I pitched in a little money. I don't have a lot, but so many other people have stepped up personally to be there in emotional support, financial support, food, clothing, coming together on how to rebuild. And it's good to see that community, and I wish we saw more of it. So, folks, do we own anything? We own our reactions. We own our actions. We own our perceptions. We own our hearts and our spirits. But we're guided by a soul that is so much older than us. We're guided by a universe that is so much wiser than us. And this thing that we think that we own things and that we have power over people and we have power over things is an illusion, because in the end you realize that you own nothing. There are going to be more Putins in the world. There was even a Putin wannabe that was ahead of America. Wouldn't be able to achieve it because they're simply not clever enough. These kind of dictators is, how did they get into power? Somebody bought their delusional ways. You look at them and you look at Hitler and how insecure he was. All dictators are insecure. They've all got massive flaws that they're trying to hide, and they hide it in massive bullying of others. I mean, Stalin, the amount of people he killed before breakfast, just signing death sentences left, right, and center. Not an ounce of humanity in him, not an ounce. And yet he was in power for how long? And why and how did he get into power in the first place? How do we put these people in power to do so much destruction? How do people because they don't do the destruction themselves. They pull the strings and make other people go and do it. So do they have other psychopathic, narcissistic, psycho, you know, around them that are just looking for the excuse to go and kill, looking at the excuse to go and destroy? Because those are the people that will be eager to go and follow out his work and just say, I was just following orders. So folks, Mama Earth, she's gracefully let us live here. And it's about time we appreciated her and asked her what does she need from us, how we can live cohabitally together peacefully. We have for hundreds of thousands of years. And it's only in the last couple of centuries that we've really become so absolutely detrimental to her through war, through greed, through power. And I don't blame her for retaliating. I mean, she's given us enough warnings. I wouldn't blame if she evicted us. And it is about time we step up and show some appreciation. And that means for each other. I was having a conversation at breakfast with people today about how so many people believe the Holocaust was just a fictional story, and how slavery and lynching was just some sort of somebody's story fantasy, that it never happened, and how our indigenous people and how we've treated them, all those children buried in the graveyards, taking them away from their families, demanding they didn't speak their language anymore. How did we allow all of that? What power stepped into place that gave them the authority to go to another person and say, your heritage is not good enough. You must follow us because you are lower than us. If not, we will kill you, which is simply what they did. How is this even still going on? And it is still going on, folks. It's just that we are so saturated with so much news, so much information, so much out there that we don't know how to see the truth amongst the noise. I'm a Matrix fan, and in many, many ways, I understand what they were trying to say. We've all want to live this an illusional life, and it's like, la, 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 I don't want to know the reality. I don't really want to know who's controlling me or what's really going on. As long as I'm all right, Jack, it's okay. I can't see what you're doing to other people. And while we do that, the atrocities carry on. We don't own anything, but we can own our dignity. We can own our integrity. We can own our hearts. And we can step up and own our actions, because inaction is just as bad as cruel action. I didn't know I was going to talk about this today. I literally had a headline: we don't own anything. When I do talk like this, it does come from the heart and the passion. It does come from the frustration. I don't understand how such beautiful, divine, spiritual human beings that we can be, that we're still so dumb, so cruel, so small-minded, so insecure, so little, when we can be so much. And it isn't about somebody else doing it for you. We are all ingredients in this huge pot of life. And every single one of us, whether we're a grain of salt or whether we are all the vegetables, we are part of the ingredients in here, and we need to step up when things are wrong. Now, I don't mean pitchforks. I don't mean taking up arms. I mean standing up with a dialogue, making people listen, coming together as a chorus to change what is not working, because there's plenty that isn't working. It may not be your history, but it's a history we're all a part of. And it's a history, whether it's the Holocaust, the indigenous, the African-American slavery, whatever it is, if we do not address it, if we do not keep the atrocities in our historical education, If we do not speak about it, we will repeat it. And that is pretty evident in the United States, where you see that a dumbing down of our education is happening. We're not teaching about the Holocaust. They can't have books like Huckleberry Finn and a few other books out there, To Kill a Mockingbird or anything else, because the N-word is in it. Yeah, the N-word is atrocious. But if we don't address it and why it's atrocious, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Why are we teaching them why this is wrong? Where the thinking was in those days, how we must never go back to that time period, and how we need to move forward with more respect. We learn from our history, and we would look back on our history and the atrocities that have gone on in the name of humanity or the name of religion. Look at the Crusaders. Look at the religions even today that will kill in the name of God. Believe me, that is not God's intent. He doesn't execute. That is purely a man's interpretation of religion, and it's purely for their own agenda, especially when it comes to women, the executing of women or anybody that speaks out. If we don't learn from history, it carries on. We just do it again in a different way. If we look at history and we're appalled by what has gone on, we are more mindful on our practice today that seeds our tomorrows. So please, if you have kids or grandkids, if you have friends that have got their heads in the sand, pull the head out and start the conversation. And if they go, la, 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 I don't want to know, I said, there's ways of telling you about this that's going to affect you enough to know that it was bad and to make sure it never happens again. We have to look at the sewage of humanity to understand how to clean it, how to purify it. And the purifying isn't genocide. The purifying is of our hearts and our souls and our treatment of each other. God is love. Love is not being able to hurt anyone else because it hurts you. If we can all step into that love, we'll understand not only its incredible source of energy, incredible source of healing, incredible source of uniting, we will also understand why things that we have done in the past can never, ever be repeated again in the present or the future. So we own our actions, folks. We own our thoughts. We own what we say. We own what we do. But we don't own this land. We don't own each other. If you have children, you don't own them. You're custodians of those children. You're there to guide them and nurture them into the best that they can be. You don't own them. None of this, I gave birth to them, I can take them out. No, wrong attitude. They've been given to you as a gift to bring up. And then what they teach you as a parent along the way is extraordinary. It is an exquisite gift. Let's step into waking up, folks. Let's step into opening up. Let's step into the conversation. I know everybody right now is saturated with the pandemic. We're all rather tired. Do we want to take any more bad news? No. But that's when we're at our most vulnerable, because somebody will come and take advantage of that. They'll take advantage of the fact that you don't want to know. And the manipulation happens behind those scenes. And the next thing you know, you're caught up in it. And you wonder why. So, own your actions. Own your thoughts. Own your intent. Surrender to God's love. Surrender to kindness and caring. But reflect back on what has been, so we know that it should never be again. This week, I have a few people that address this. There's Laurel Hill, where she has these youth stories about a Mexicana girl whose family were kicked off the land or even killed off the land for the railway lines. Yes, it happened, folks. Don't believe it didn't. We have another gentleman, Mark, who was an English teacher, who talks about the dumbing down of our youth. And you have to think, well, why are they dumbing our youth down? Why? Because they're easier to manipulate in the future. If people are not taught to think for themselves, not step into that consciousness, not to understand what has been and what should be, then they're very, very easy to become the little puppets of the future. We need to encourage more reading, we need to encourage more conversation, and we need to encourage more understanding. And the only way we do that is look back, look present, to understand how we walk forward in the future. I promise next week a lighter subject. I know it's a heavy one this week, but it had to be said. Because if we don't, we repeat. Look back at your own reactions in life. I have a knee-jerk reaction to, or I have a tendency to do this when that happens. But you also have the empowerment of knowing that you do that to change the way you react. Because we are capable of incredible change. We are capable of steering the ship in a different direction. Every single thing that happens out there today and tomorrow is up to each and every one of us. Be mindful of who you are, why you are, what you're doing, and whom it serves. And make sure that it comes from your heart, your soul, and your spirit. Because that's the only way to be on this earth. Until next time, folks, have a wonderful week. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. Please tune in to our selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows and you will see all the other genres that we have from you. Every week on Tuesday, we bring you new shows from illuminating people. If you know someone that should be interviewed, please contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Now stay tuned for your next show.